Three kids meet up to investigate rumors surrounding the ghost of a woman who took her life some time ago. Apparently, the only way to summon this spirit is to go to a specific airfield during the summer and light up some fireworks. Now, why would anyone want to seek out a specter? Well, it turns out this lost soul will answer any question one might have about death. It's a bit of a grim subject though, so she doesn't meet with just anyone. The only ones who can see her are those within death's grasp. Aoi has a future she loathes, Tomiya has a future he couldn't care less about, and Ryu has a future he won't ever see. Because of this, all three are able to meet the summer ghost, a beautiful young woman named Ayane, a spirit with a story that changes these three forever.
私みたいな死んだ人間に
That's the basic plot of Summer Ghost, a 40-minute short film from 2020 made by a small studio set up by a director who served as the main illustrator for I Wanna Eat Your Pancreas, and the character designer for Vivi. Clearly a very talented guy, and he's also the one who spearheaded Flat Studio. A studio that pretty much just worked on ads and music videos before this, Summer Ghost was their first and so far only film, and it's a pretty good one. There's plenty of passion in the animation, though I wouldn't say there was anything in particular that blew me away. That being said though, it always managed to look good, and the backgrounds were very pretty. The thing I really dug about the film's visuals is the lighting and the color scheme. It's pale, somewhat faded, makes for a gloomy vibe that is very fitting for a story of summertime sadness, and complemented wonderfully by the voice acting, at least in my opinion. This one sounds pretty different from other anime. The performances aren't in your face, they're down to earth. Mellow and calm, very relaxed save for a few emotionally charged scenes towards the climax of the film. This approach may not be for everyone. I've seen some people complain that the voice acting sounds stale or muted, but I assure you the performances aren't phoned in, they're just dialed back, and I honestly think the movie is stronger for it.
結構やったけどね
じゃあこれで最後だ。葵ちゃん。
The characters sound more natural and familiar. Even the ghost seems laid back and easy to talk to, which is exactly what they were going for. But what's interesting is that even compared to the living characters, she feels off, which again was by design. When doing the casting for all the characters, they used anime voice actors for the main three living characters, which is typically how you do things. But for the ghost lady, they opted for a live-action actress. VAs tend to give more animated performances because animation exaggerates things, and if you don't match your voice to the visuals, then things might just turn out terrible. But in live action, you don't need to put so much emphasis on your voice alone, since you can act with your facial expressions and body language and stuff like that. This is why live-action actors often give less than stellar performances when doing VA work. But Summer Ghost uses this phenomenon to its advantage, turning a potential weakness into a fitting character attribute.
じゃ裏飯屋
Plus, the lady they picked had her own brush with death back in 2014. She was the member of an idol group attending a fan handshake event where a very sensitive young man tried to cut a piece of the pie for himself with a handsaw. Now, don't worry about her, she's fine, married with 2 kids, living her best life, and yeah, she does a pretty good job as a calm and cool ghost lady.
裏飯屋
The tone of this movie is pretty interesting too. While Summer Ghost is a somewhat sad story, it's more of a softer kind of melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. Each of the main characters may be going through some stuff, but the movie always keeps things relaxed and quiet, even when dealing with these sensitive subjects, instead of sounding like,
I hate being alive! I hate being alive! I hate breathing! I hate being alive! I'm in tremendous pain! I'm in tremendous pain! Help me! Help!
I think the movie does a decent job showing why all of these guys are so down in the dumps, although it certainly plays favorites with Tomiya, who gets to spend the most time with the Summer Ghost. If I were looking for something to complain about, I think this would be my biggest gripe with the movie. It didn't have enough time to make every character count as much as they should have. I almost think the short story would have been better if the other 2 main characters were dropped entirely, and we just focused on Tomoya and Ayane and their fun little depressing dynamic. Except maybe swap Tomiya out for Ryu because his story is pretty hard-hitting and the easiest one to convey convey in the least amount of time possible. But I don't know, maybe you resonate with having a career in art denied to you. Or maybe you more heavily relate to what the femcel is going through. Now, I may have liked this guy the most, but having all these 3 different characters with these 3 different circumstances does make it so that most people will find at least someone to latch onto and tear up at the right moment. That's probably why they opted for 3 main characters, and don't get me wrong, they all still contribute to a satisfying conclusion. But the movie being so short lessened their impact on the film itself and on me personally. You can actually find some of the extra scenes that got cut from this film if you read the manga adaptation. And apparently the light novel features an even more in-depth introspection with Tomoya. Had all 3 of these versions been combined into a single anime, then my main complaint probably wouldn't be there, and this short film would more than likely have a runtime closer to a feature-length film. But that's exactly why it didn't happen. I mentioned it before, but this was the first movie made by a small studio that found themselves a little in over their heads. Bundled with the Blu-ray version of Summer Ghost is a behind-the-scenes documentary titled To You Before Dawn. It details some of the production and gives you a pretty good idea of what it's like to make your first anime film. It also puts some faces to the names in the credits, which is always nice. It's a pretty interesting watch, and also longer than the actual movie, which is kind of funny. The guys seem pretty cool, and they mention how eager they are to move on to the next big thing. They haven't made another film yet, just a few more ads and music videos, but if they do, I will be sure to check it out because this one was definitely worth watching.
もしかしてちょっと死ぬのも悪くないなとか思ってたりしないよね。
Be sure to track down Summer Ghost and give it a watch for yourself if you haven't already seen it. I know this video is a short one, but I'm a little busy working on a handful of different things at the moment, but I didn't want you guys to go without for too long, so I tried to cover something that wouldn't take too much time away from me. Plus this anime is summer related, so I'm pretty sure it's topical right now. Anyway, until next time, Ave Maria, Deus Vult, and a big thank you to all the cultured.